Welcome to my channel Unleash Your English, my friend. Let me ask you something. Why do children learn to speak so fast, but adults struggle for years? Maybe you've been learning English for a long time. You understand many words. You read and listen, but when it's time to speak, you freeze. Why? In this video, I will show you a secret. A method to speak English fast, like a child. No stress. No grammar books. Just natural speaking. Comment below. Do you feel shy when speaking English? In this series there are 18 chapters, so stay with me till the end. Because what you will hear today might change how you learn forever. Chapter 1. The Child's Secret. Why they learn faster than you. When I was a child, I did not know how powerful learning could be. I was not trying to learn. I was not thinking about grammar or rules. I was just living, playing, listening, and copying. That is how children learn. They do not say, "I must study English." They hear sounds, and they try to say the same sounds. They see people laugh, cry, smile, and they copy those feelings with words. They are not afraid of mistakes. They are not shy. They speak even when they don't understand everything. And that is why they learn faster than most adults. They are not perfect, but they are brave. I remember watching my little cousin grow up. She was only 3 years old, but she spoke English better than me. I had been studying English in school for 5 years, yet I could not speak like her. She didn't go to school. She didn't know how to read or write, but she watched cartoons. She sang songs. She listened to her parents. She repeated what they said. She played games in English. She was not trying to be perfect. She was just trying to speak. And she did. She spoke with confidence. She made mistakes, but she didn't care. When I saw that, I felt surprised. And I asked myself, how is this possible? At that time, I was shy. I always thought too much. I wanted to say the correct sentence. I wanted the perfect word. If I didn't know the answer, I stayed silent. I was afraid people would laugh. I thought I had to know everything before I spoke. But watching my cousin, I saw something different. She didn't wait. She didn't care about being right. She just used the words she knew. If she didn't know a word, she used her hands, her face, her smile. And still, people understood her. They helped her. They laughed with her. That gave her more confidence. And her English grew fast. Very fast. One day, I sat with her while she watched her favorite cartoon. It was in English. I watched with her. She was smiling and repeating every word. The character said, "Let's go," and she shouted, "Let's go." The character said, "I'm hungry," and she said, "I'm hungry." She didn't stop to ask, "What is the grammar here?" She didn't say, "What is the difference between present simple and continuous tense?" She just copied the sound, and she remembered it. Her brain was not filled with rules. It was filled with voices, feelings, sounds, and emotions. That was the secret. I decided to try her method. I stopped using big grammar books. I stopped translating everything. I started listening. I started repeating. I watched cartoons, just like her. I didn't care if it was for kids. It was in English. It was simple. It was clear. And it made me smile. I listened again and again. When a character said, "What are you doing?" I repeated it. I didn't try to understand every word. I tried to feel it. I copied the voice, the tone, the speed. I became a child again. And for the first time, I felt free. At first, I felt silly. I was an adult watching cartoons, talking to myself, repeating words like a baby. But slowly, I saw the change. My English became smoother. I could say full sentences. I didn't have to think so much. The words came naturally. I stopped being afraid of mistakes. I stopped being shy. I started to speak more, not just in my room, but with real people. And they understood me. They smiled. They helped. I realized that children are not afraid to look silly. They are not afraid to try. That is the real reason they learn faster. They are brave enough to speak with only a few words. Many adults say, I want to speak perfect English. But children say, I want to speak. That is the big difference. If you wait until everything is perfect, you will never speak. Children speak with broken grammar. They mix words. They say funny things. But they enjoy it. They smile while learning. That joy becomes energy. That energy becomes memory. And that memory becomes fluency. We adults must learn from that. We must stop waiting. We must start speaking, even if we don't have all the words, even if we make mistakes. The secret is not in the book. It's in the way we learn. I asked my cousin once, how did you learn English? She looked at me and said, from Peppa Pig. And she laughed. That was it. No school, no exam, no grammar test. Just watching, listening, and copying. Her mother said she watched the same episode 30 times. I smiled. That is repetition. That is love. That is how children learn. They don't change methods. They don't search for new apps every day. They stick to one thing, and they enjoy it again and again. Repetition is not boring to them. It's fun. It's safe. It's how their brain grows strong. If you want to speak English like a child, you must do what a child does. Stop thinking so much. Stop asking, is this correct? Start asking, can they understand me? And if the answer is yes, you're already winning. When a child says, me want water, you don't laugh. You understand. You smile. You say, oh, you're thirsty. And slowly, that child learns to say, I want water. It takes time, but it starts with trying. It starts with courage. It starts with speaking before knowing everything. That's the only way. You have a child inside you. A curious, brave, playful child. That child is still alive. That child wants to learn English. That child doesn't care about mistakes. That child wants to say, look, I can talk. And you can. You really can. But you must allow yourself to learn like a child. You must smile when you make a mistake. You must play with words. You must sing, dance, laugh in English. Not because it's homework, but because it feels good. When I finally let go of fear, everything changed. My words flowed. My mouth relaxed. My heart felt light. I was not trying to be perfect. I was trying to be human. To speak. To connect. And that's what English is for. Communication. Not perfection. My little cousin taught me something I never learned in school. She showed me that love, joy, and bravery are more powerful than any grammar rule. That is the child's secret. So now I ask you, my friend, are you ready to learn like a child? To speak with courage, to laugh at mistakes, to copy, repeat, and grow every day? If yes, then you are ready for the next chapter. Chapter 2. Forget grammar, feel the words. When I first started learning English, I believed something that many people believe, that grammar is the most important part. I thought, if I don't know grammar, I cannot speak well. Every teacher told me to study grammar rules. Every book was full of grammar exercises. Present tense, past tense, future tense, conditionals, passive voice, articles, prepositions, and so on. I wrote pages of notes. I memorized rules. I filled in the blanks. But still, I could not speak. I understood the rules, but I was silent. My mouth was closed. My head was full, but my voice was quiet, and I started to wonder why. I remember sitting in my room one night. I opened my notebook and looked at the rules. I read them again, but they didn't help me talk. I knew that he goes is correct and he go is wrong. But when I tried to speak, I forgot everything. I froze. I couldn't say even a simple sentence. I felt confused. I felt sad. I asked myself, if grammar is so important, why can't I speak? That night, I closed my notebook. I took a deep breath, and I made a new promise to myself. I will stop chasing grammar. I will start feeling the words. Children never learn grammar first. They listen. They repeat. They feel the language. They don't ask, is this sentence in the present perfect tense? They just speak. They use what they hear. If they say it wrong, they say it again. They don't study the rule. They feel the rhythm. They feel the sound. And slowly, the grammar comes naturally. Like walking, like breathing, like riding a bicycle. They learn with feeling, not formulas. And that is what I decided to do. I wanted to learn like a child again. So I started watching cartoons. Not to study, but to feel. I picked short videos with simple sentences. I listened with all my heart. I didn't write anything. I didn't pause the video to analyze the sentence structure. I just listened and repeated. I copied the voice, the emotion, the music in the sentence. And something beautiful happened. I started to speak. My tongue moved. My mouth smiled. I didn't care if the sentence was perfect. I only cared if it felt natural. It was a new kind of learning. It was light. It was fun. It was alive. The more I spoke without worrying about grammar, the more I improved. I felt the flow. I remembered real sentences, not grammar rules. For example, I didn't think, this is present continuous tense, subject plus to be plus verb ing. No, I just remembered the sentence. I'm going to school. I said it again and again. I said it while walking. I said it while looking in the mirror. I said it to myself. And after many days, my mouth remembered the sentence. My brain didn't need a rule. It needed repetition with feeling. Some people were surprised. They asked me, don't you need grammar to be correct? And I said, yes, but I want grammar to come naturally, like it does for children. Children hear, I want juice many times. They never sit down to learn subject-verb agreement. They don't need to. Their brain learns from real life, not rules. I wanted that same power. And I discovered something amazing. The more I stopped thinking about grammar, the more natural my sentences became. I didn't try to be correct. I tried to be clear. I tried to be real. One day, I spoke to a tourist in my city. He asked for directions. I helped him. I used simple English. No big grammar words. Just clear, short sentences. And he understood. He said, thank you. Your English is very good. I smiled. I didn't say, wait, I forgot to use the past participle. I just spoke from the heart. And that was enough. That moment taught me a lesson. People don't care if your grammar is perfect. They care if they can understand you. Communication is more important than correctness. I also started writing without checking grammar. I wrote about my day. I wake up. I eat breakfast. I go to work. At first, my sentences were very short. But they were real. They were my sentences. And I felt proud. Then I added more. Today is sunny. I feel happy. I want to go outside. It was not perfect, but it was progress. And I started enjoying the process. Writing became a joy, not a test. Sometimes I made mistakes. Yes, I said wrong things. Yes, people corrected me. But I didn't feel sad. I felt excited. Because now I knew what to fix. I didn't need a grammar book to tell me. Real life told me. My friends told me. And every time I corrected myself, the sentence became stronger in my memory. I was learning by doing, not just by reading. There was a time when I said, "She go to market." My friend smiled and said, "She goes to the market." I repeated, "She goes to the market." I didn't write it down. I didn't analyze the grammar. I just felt the new sentence. And that was enough. Later that day, I said it again to myself. I saw a woman and whispered, "She goes to the market." I said it the next day too. And now, I always remember it. No grammar rule needed. Just feeling, repetition, and memory. You see, grammar is like the bones inside your body. It gives structure, but nobody sees the bones. What they see is the movement, the smile, the action. Words are like that. Your feelings, your stories, your message. That is what people care about, not the bones. So speak from the heart. Let the grammar grow inside, slowly, quietly, like a tree. Don't water only the grammar. Water your voice. Water your courage. Water your joy. And here's something beautiful. Once you speak enough, the grammar will start to show. You will say, "I went there," not because you remembered the past tense rule, but because it feels right. Because you've heard it enough times. That is the real power. You speak first. You feel first. And grammar follows like a quiet shadow. Now, I am not saying grammar is bad. I am saying grammar is not your first step. It is your helper, not your master. If grammar is stopping you from speaking, then put it down for now. Speak anyway. Listen anyway. Copy sentences anyway. And you will grow. Just like a child grows without textbooks, you too can grow with real English. Natural, emotional, simple English. So, my friend, let go of the pressure. Don't ask, "Is this correct grammar?" Ask, "Did I speak today? Did I try? Did I enjoy the words in my mouth?" That is the real question. Speak like a child, with curiosity, with feeling, with freedom. Grammar will join you on the way. But don't wait for it to lead. You must lead. You must speak. You can do this. You already have the power. You speak your native language. You learned it without grammar books. You can do the same with English. Just take one sentence. Feel it. Speak it. Love it. Repeat it. And do it again tomorrow. That is how children learn. That is how you will learn too. Chapter 3. Copy, don't translate. I remember the old days when I was trying to speak English, and I had a strange habit. Every time I heard something in English, I stopped and tried to translate it in my head. I heard, "How are you?" And I quickly asked myself, "What is the meaning of this in my language?" Then, I found the answer in my own words. Then I thought of my reply in my language, and then tried to turn that into English. But by the time I was ready to speak, the moment was gone. The conversation had moved on. I was too late. I felt slow. I felt stuck. And I realized something was wrong. I was not learning to speak English. I was only learning to translate. And that is not the same thing. Translating is like walking with heavy shoes. Every step feels slow and painful. You carry your native language on your back and try to use it as a map in a new country. But the roads are different. The signs are different. The sounds are different. It does not work. I wanted to be fast. I wanted to be free. So I needed a new way. And one day, I discovered the secret. It was so simple, but so powerful. The secret was copy. Do not translate. Just copy what you hear. The words, the sound, the feeling. Say them as they are. Like a child. Think about how children learn. They do not translate. They do not say, "What does I want water mean in my language?" They just say it. They copy their parents. They copy cartoons. They copy everything they hear. And they speak. Fast. Free. Natural. They don't worry about the meaning first. They learn by copying sound and later, they understand meaning. That is the opposite of most adult learners. Adults want to understand first, then speak later. But by doing that, they block themselves. They create a wall between the sound and the voice. And that wall is translation. I still remember the first sentence I decided to copy without translating. It was from a cartoon. The character said, "I don't know." That's it. A simple sentence. I don't know. I repeated it just like I heard it. I didn't think, "Oh, this means I do not have the information." I just said it. I don't know. I copied the voice, the tone, the music in the sentence. And I felt something new. I felt free. I didn't think. I just spoke. That was the first time I spoke English without thinking in my language. It was a big moment. After that, I started copying more. I watched short videos. I listened to podcasts. I watched cartoons and funny videos. And every time I heard a sentence I liked, I copied it. Not just the words, but the feeling, the voice, the emotion. I said the sentence 10 times, 20 times, sometimes more. I didn't care if I didn't understand every word. I trusted the process. I believed that understanding would come later. Right now, I only wanted to copy, to speak, to use this sentence like my own. The more I copied, the more I spoke. And something beautiful happened. I stopped translating. My brain started thinking in English. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. Enough to speak without waiting. Enough to answer without panic. Enough to enjoy a conversation. And I knew this was working because I started speaking without fear. I started using full sentences without thinking about grammar or vocabulary. I just remembered how it sounded. I remembered the rhythm. I remembered the pattern. And I used it. There was a sentence I loved from a movie. "What's going on?" I copied it so many times. I said it while walking. I said it while brushing my teeth. I said it with different voices, happy, angry, surprised. "What's going on?" became my favorite sentence. I didn't study its grammar. I didn't translate it. I just used it. And now, it's part of me. It's mine. That is the power of copying. Sometimes people ask, "Isn't copying bad? Shouldn't we create our own sentences?" And I say, yes, later. But first, you must learn like a baby. Babies copy their parents' words 1,000 times. That's how they build their voice. That's how they grow. You can't run before you walk. You can't create sentences before you learn the rhythm of English. And the rhythm only comes from copying. It's not about being original. It's about being natural. I even made a copy book, a small notebook where I wrote my favorite English sentences. Every day, I added one new sentence. Just one. And I practiced saying it again and again. Sometimes I stood in front of the mirror and said it with different emotions. Sometimes I acted like I was in a movie. Sometimes I whispered it before bed. These were not grammar exercises. They were life exercises. And they worked. One time, I watched an English interview. The speaker said, "That makes sense." I paused the video. I said it. "That makes sense." I said it again. And again. "That makes sense." I didn't translate. I just copied. Later, in a real conversation, my friend said something smart. I smiled and said, "That makes sense." And it felt so natural. So automatic. I didn't plan it. I didn't build the sentence. It just came out. Like a river flowing. And my friend said, "Wow, your English is getting so good." I smiled and thought, "Thank you, copy method." Copying doesn't mean you don't think. It means you think like a child. You feel the sentence. You wear it like a shirt. You try it on. You move with it. You speak with it. And slowly, it becomes your own. That is how real fluency starts. Not with rules. Not with translation. But with living the sentence. Speaking the sentence. Feeling the sentence. Like it belongs to you. I also used songs to copy. I picked easy English songs with slow words. I sang with them. I paused. I repeated. I copied the singer's voice. It felt like I was playing a game. But in that game, I was learning so much. My pronunciation got better. My fluency got faster. My confidence grew. And the best part? I didn't feel like I was studying. I felt like I was living. If you are still translating everything you hear, stop. You don't need to do that anymore. Start copying. Start repeating. Choose one sentence today and say it 20 times. Copy the voice. Copy the feeling. Don't ask why. Just do it. And tomorrow, choose another sentence. Do this every day, and in 1 month, you will feel the change. You will think less. You will speak more. You will feel proud. My friend, you don't need to speak perfect English. You just need to speak real English. And that real English lives inside sentences. Not grammar books. Not translations. Just copy like a child. And soon, you will speak like one too. Chapter 4. Speak before you understand everything. When I was learning English, I had a big problem. I wanted to understand every word before I opened my mouth. If I heard a sentence and didn't understand one word, I stayed silent. I thought, I cannot speak now. I don't know what this means. I should wait. I should study more first. And so I waited. I waited for the day when I would understand every word. I waited for the day when English would feel easy. But that day never came. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. I was always waiting. And I was not speaking. Then one day, I remembered something simple. I remembered how I learned my first language. I did not understand every word. I was a baby. I was small. I didn't know the meaning of everything my parents said. But still I spoke. I said, "Mama." I said, "Give." I said, "No." I said, "More." I used the words I knew. I made mistakes. But I spoke. A. Indeed, because I spoke, I learned more. My voice became stronger. My mind became faster. I understood more because I spoke more, not the other way around. That memory changed everything for me. I asked myself, why am I waiting to understand everything? Why not start with what I know? So that's what I did. I stopped waiting. I started speaking. Even when I didn't understand the full meaning. Even when I only understood a few words. I used them. I tried. I guessed. I spoke anyway. And it felt like magic. It felt like I was finally free. I remember one moment clearly. I was in a cafe. A tourist walked in and asked the worker something in English. The worker didn't understand. The tourist looked worried. I knew I could help, but I was afraid. What if I don't understand the question? What if I say something wrong? But then I said to myself, just try. Use what you know. So I walked over and said, "Can I help you?" The tourist smiled and asked, "Do you know where the train station is?" I didn't understand the whole sentence, but I heard train station. That was enough. I said, "Yes, go straight. Then right." It was a short answer, not perfect, but it worked. He smiled and said, "Thank you. I helped someone with only a few words." That moment taught me a big lesson. You don't need to understand everything to speak. You just need to understand something. and then speak with courage. Children do this every day. They hear their parents talk about many things. They don't understand every word, but they use the words they know. They copy, they guess, they try, and slowly, they understand more. This is how they grow. They don't wait. They speak first. When I started doing this, my English improved quickly. I joined an English-speaking group. At first, I understood only 50% of what people were saying, sometimes less. But I listened. I smiled. I said simple things like, "Yes, I agree," or "I like that," or "I don't know." When someone said a long sentence, I picked one word I knew, like school or movie, and replied, "I like school too," or "Yes, I saw that movie." Was it perfect? No. But was it communication? Yes. The more I spoke, the more confident I felt. I didn't need to understand every single word. I just needed to keep going. I learned to focus on the words I knew, not the ones I didn't. That's what children do. When a child hears, "Do you want some juice?" For the first time, they don't understand everything. But maybe they know the word juice. So they say, "Juice, yes." That's enough. They get the juice. They get the experience. And next time, they understand more. I also realized that full understanding comes slowly. If you wait for perfect understanding, you might never speak. But if you speak now, you will understand more tomorrow. Speaking brings understanding. It brings confidence. It brings real progress. So I changed my mindset. I said to myself every day, "I will speak today, even if I don't understand everything, even if I make mistakes. I will speak." At home, I practiced speaking with small words. I looked at objects and said their names in English. Chair, table, light. Then I made short sentences. "This is a chair. I see the table. The light is bright." I didn't need to translate. I didn't need to understand deep grammar. I just needed to speak. And it worked. My brain started to build new roads, English roads. Not translation roads. Not fear roads. Just English roads made of sound and feeling. Sometimes, I listened to English songs. I didn't understand all the lyrics. But I sang anyway. I repeated the lines I liked. "I'm walking on sunshine." I didn't stop and say, "Wait, what does this mean?" I just sang. I felt the words. And slowly, I began to understand. The meaning became clear after I said the words many times. Not before. The magic is this: speaking leads to meaning, not the other way around. If you are waiting to speak until your English is perfect, you are doing the opposite of what children do. They speak first. They understand later. And they never stop. They speak with hands, with eyes, with smiles, with heart. You can do the same. You don't need a full vocabulary. You don't need to be ready. You are already ready. Start with what you know. Use the small words. Repeat them often. Make small sentences. Use them in real life. Don't worry if you don't understand every word in a movie or a conversation. Focus on what you do understand. Respond with what you know. Guess if you have to. It's okay. Every mistake is a step forward. Every sentence is a seed. If you plant it today, it will grow tomorrow. One day, I watched a video where a teacher said, "Speak before you are ready. Speak before you understand." That line stayed with me forever. It became my new rule. Because it worked. I spoke early. I spoke wrong. But I spoke. And now I speak well. I understand more. I feel confident. Not because I waited, but because I began before I was ready. My friend, you don't have to wait either. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin. Start small. Speak today. Don't hide behind grammar books. Don't hide behind fear. Let your voice out. Say what you know, and the rest will come. That is how children do it. And that is how you can do it too. Chapter 5. Make English your toy, not a test. When I was a student, English felt like a hard subject. It felt like a big wall I could never climb. Every time I went to class, I was nervous. I thought I would make a mistake. I thought the teacher would ask me a question and I would say something wrong. I always waited for the test. The grammar test. The spelling test. The speaking test. And every time I sat down to take the test, I was not thinking about learning. I was thinking about fear, about failing, about what I didn't know. And because of that, I could not enjoy English. I could not feel free. But then, something changed. One day, I saw my younger cousin playing with her toys. She had a small doll in one hand and a teddy bear in the other. She made the doll talk. "Hello," she said in a funny voice. Then she moved the teddy bear and said, "Hi, let's play." She was laughing, talking, jumping, singing. I watched her for 10 minutes. She was creating a story, a world. She was speaking English, not because it was a school subject, but because it was part of her play. And suddenly, something clicked in my heart. I thought, she is not scared. She is not trying to be perfect. She is just enjoying. She is using English like a toy. And that thought changed my life. I realized I was doing the opposite. I was treating English like a test. Every time I opened my mouth, I judged myself. Is this right? Is the grammar okay? What if I say it wrong? I was scared, not playful. And that fear was like a heavy weight in my chest. It stopped my voice. It closed my mouth. But my cousin? She had no fear. She made mistakes. She laughed. She kept going. And her English was improving fast. Not because of books, but because of joy. That day, I decided something important. I said to myself, from now on, English will be my toy, not my test. And everything began to change. I started playing with English, just like my cousin played with her toys. I talked to myself in the mirror. I made silly voices. I made up characters. "Hello, I am Mr. Banana. I like pizza." Then I answered in another voice. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Banana. I am Miss Watermelon." I laughed at myself. I didn't care if it was strange. It was fun. And more than fun, it worked. Because I was relaxed, I remembered more. Because I was smiling, I spoke more. When you play, your brain opens. Your heart is light. You are not afraid to try. You are not afraid to fail. That is the secret of children. They learn fast because they are always playing. Their toys are tools for learning. Their games are full of language. And they enjoy every moment. If you want to speak English fast, you must do the same. Make English your toy. Talk like a child. Laugh like a child. Repeat like a child. Learn like a child. I started making games with words. I wrote simple words on small cards. Dog, run, blue, fast, jump. I mixed the cards and made crazy sentences. The blue dog jumps fast. The dog runs to pizza. Jump the dog. It was funny. It was weird. But I was speaking. I was moving words in my mind. I was making sentences, even silly ones. And those silly sentences helped me grow. Because I was not scared. Because I was smiling. Then I made another game. I took 3 small objects from my room: a pen, a shoe, and a spoon. I put them on the floor. Then I said something about each object. This pen is my friend. The spoon is very smart. My shoe wants to sleep. I laughed. But I was learning. I was speaking. And soon, I could say more. The pen is blue. It lives in my bag. It likes to write stories. Now, my English was not a grammar exercise. It was a game, and it felt good. I also sang songs like a child. I picked simple English songs from cartoons or YouTube. Songs with lots of repetition and clear words. I sang them every day, even in the shower, even while walking. I didn't care who heard me. The words became part of me. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. These songs were easy. They were fun. But most of all, they worked. I learned many new words just by singing. I also watched cartoons, not to study, but to enjoy. I didn't sit with a notebook. I sat with popcorn. I laughed with the characters. I repeated their lines. I paused and said the same words. I played with the voices. I copied the silly sounds. It didn't feel like learning. It felt like play. And still, my English was growing. Because learning through joy is real learning. It stays in your heart. Even when I was tired, I played little games. I picked a letter, like B. Then I tried to name 10 words in English that start with B. Ball, banana, book, bed. I smiled every time I remembered a new one. Some days, I made rhymes. Cat, hat, bat, rat. It was like music. My ears enjoyed it, and my mouth learned the rhythm of English. I stopped asking, is this correct? I started asking, is this fun? Because when it's fun, you keep going. When it's fun, you don't give up. When it's fun, your brain becomes your friend. And soon, the language becomes a part of you. Even now, after many years, I still use these games. When I teach others, I tell them, you don't need to study harder. You need to play smarter. Your brain is a child inside. It learns fast when it is happy. So don't wait for a test. Don't wait for a teacher. Pick up a spoon. Make a talk. Say, hello, I am Spoon. Play like a child. And speak like one too. Remember this, my friend. You were born to play. You were born to learn with laughter. You were born with joy. Don't let fear take it away. English is not a prison. It is a playground. So jump, run, fall, get up, speak again, sing again, laugh again. You will not fail. You will fly. All you have to do is play. Chapter 6. Repeat like a baby, but with meaning. When a baby learns to speak, they do something again and again. They don't say a word one time. They say it many times. Over and over. They say mama 100 times a day. They say no until it becomes music. They repeat what they hear. They do not get bored. They do not say, I already know this word. No. They repeat because that's how they remember. They repeat because that's how they grow. And that is something adults forget. We learn something once, and then we move on. We want more, 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 but we forget to repeat. When I realized this, I changed everything. I looked back at my English journey. I had learned many words, but I forgot them quickly. I had studied many grammar rules, but I couldn't use them when I spoke. I understood them in my notebook, but not in my mouth. My problem was not learning. My problem was remembering. And the solution was repetition. Not boring repetition. Not fast, lazy repetition. But slow, loving, baby-like repetition. Repetition with meaning. Repetition with joy. I thought of my little cousin again. When she learned the word ball, she didn't just say it once. She said it every time she saw it. Ball, she shouted. She picked it up and said ball. She threw it, caught it, hugged it. And every time she spoke, she said ball. And now, that word will never leave her. It is part of her forever. She owns it. She owns the sound, the picture, the action, and the feeling. That is the power of baby repetition. So I began doing the same with English. I picked simple sentences. Not too long. Not too hard. Just clear, daily sentences. Like, how are you? Or, I'm hungry. Or, this is my book. I repeated them again and again. I didn't just say the sentence. I felt the sentence. I used it in my life. When I saw my reflection, I said, how are you? When I opened my notebook, I said, this is my book. When I felt hungry, I didn't just say it in my native language. I said, I'm hungry. Every time. Over and over. And it worked. I didn't learn 100 sentences a day. I learned one sentence 100 times. That was my secret. I wanted each sentence to become mine. Not just a sentence in a book, but a part of my thinking. I wanted it to live in my mind, my heart, my body. I wanted to speak it without effort. And the only way to do that was through repetition. Baby-style repetition. Not once, not twice, but many, many times. Until it became part of me. Some people say, I want to learn fast. And I say, then slow down. Because if you go too fast, you forget. If you rush, you don't remember. But if you repeat with love, your brain holds the sentence forever. It doesn't feel like study. It feels like breathing, like walking, like singing your favorite song. Because that is what English becomes, your song. I also made a rule for myself. Before learning a new sentence, I must repeat the old one 20 times. I did this every morning. I took a sentence like, what time is it? And I said it in different voices. Happy voice, what time is it? Sad voice, what time is it? Angry voice, what time is it? Slow voice, fast voice, sleepy voice, funny voice. I was playing. I was acting. But I was also learning deeply. That sentence became strong in my brain. Then I made another rule. I would use the same sentence in 5 different situations. For example, with I'm tired, I said it in the morning, at school, at home, on the bus, and before sleep. I whispered it. I sang it. I wrote it. I looked in the mirror and said, I'm tired. And suddenly, it became real. It had meaning. It had memory. It had feeling. It was no longer just a sentence. It was a friend. Sometimes people asked me, why are you repeating the same thing? I smiled and said, because I want to own it. When you repeat something with love, with real attention, it becomes yours. You don't forget it. You use it in real life. And when you use it, your confidence grows. That's what happened to me. I became confident not because I knew everything, but because I repeated what I knew. I also repeated while moving. I walked in circles and said, it's raining. I opened the window and said, it's cold. I picked up my pencil and said, this is my pencil. I wasn't just speaking. I was connecting my voice to the world around me. That made the words stronger. My body remembered them. My eyes remembered them. My heart remembered them. That is how babies learn. That is how we must learn too. One day, I made a playlist of short audio clips, simple sentences spoken slowly. I listened while walking. I repeated after each line. Where is the bus? I said it. I don't know. I said it again. Let's go. I said it again. I didn't care if people looked at me. I was building my language muscles. I was training my mouth. Every repetition made me faster, stronger, more fluent. There was one sentence I loved. I'm learning English. I said it every day. I said it when I woke up. I said it when I felt tired. I said it when I made a mistake. I'm learning English. It gave me hope. It reminded me of my journey. It reminded me that it's okay to be slow, to repeat, to try again. That sentence became like a song inside me. A peaceful song. A powerful song. So my friend, don't try to be fast. Try to be deep. Pick one sentence. Speak it 50 times. Speak it with your eyes. Speak it with your hands. Speak it with love. Repeat it until it becomes part of you. That is the child's way. And it works. It always works. Repetition is not boring. It is beautiful. It is the rhythm of learning. It is the heartbeat of progress. Babies repeat because they are building their voice. You are doing the same. So repeat like a baby. But do it with meaning, with feeling, with joy. Say it again, and again, and again, because one day you will say it, and it will feel easy. It will feel natural. It will feel like your own voice. And in that moment, you will smile. You will know, yes, I am becoming fluent. Chapter 7. Talk to yourself like a child does. There is something magical that children do all the time. They talk to themselves. They speak out loud even when no one is listening. They walk around the house and say, I'm a superhero, or my car is flying, or I eat the cookie. Their little voices fill the air. They laugh. They imagine. They repeat. They create little stories with their toys, their hands, their socks, their pencils. Everything becomes part of their world. And through this play, they speak. Again and again. They don't need a class. They don't need an audience. They just speak. To themselves. For fun. And that is how they learn so fast. I remember one day, I watched my cousin play with her toy kitchen. She was alone in her room, but her voice was full of life. Now we make soup, she said. Add carrots. Stir, stir, stir. Then she turned to her teddy bear. Do you like it? She made a small bear voice. Yes, I do. It's yummy. I stood at the door and listened. She was speaking full English sentences. She was practicing conversation. And she was doing it all by herself. No teacher. No partner. Just imagination, repetition, and fun. That moment opened my eyes. I thought, why can't I do that? At first, it felt strange. I was an adult. I thought, will I look silly if I talk to myself in English? But then I remembered something. I already talked to myself in my own language. When I feel angry, I say, why did I do that? When I am tired, I say, I need to rest. When I feel nervous, I whisper, it's going to be okay. These small, quiet sentences are a part of life. So why not do it in English? Why not take that voice inside me and turn it into my daily English teacher? So I began, slowly, in my room, alone. I looked at the mirror and said, good morning. I smiled at myself and said, how are you? Then I laughed. It felt funny at first, but also fun. Then I answered, I'm fine. Thank you. And you? I kept going. It's a nice day. I want to go outside. But I have to study. The words were simple, but they were real. I was using English. Not in a test. Not in a class. Just in my real life. And that made it powerful. Every day, I started talking to myself more. When I made tea, I said, I'm making tea. When I sat down, I said, let's start work. When I was bored, I said, I need a break. These were not big, fancy sentences, but they were real. They were natural. I was building the habit of speaking without waiting for someone else. I was giving myself permission to speak. And my mouth started to move more easily. My tongue started to trust the sounds. I stopped thinking too much. I just spoke. I also played little games with myself. I picked an object, like my phone, and described it in English. This is my phone. It is black. It is old. I use it every day. Then I picked another thing, my shoes. These are my shoes. They are white. They are dirty. I like them. It became a daily practice. Simple, quiet, but very strong. I was teaching myself how to describe the world in English. Just like a child learns to describe their toys and games. Sometimes, I even had conversations. With myself, I would sit down and pretend I was meeting someone. I said, "Hi, my name is Alex. What's your name?" Then I answered as the other person. "My name is Sarah. Nice to meet you." I smiled. I nodded. I kept the conversation going. "Where are you from?" "I'm from Pakistan." "And you?" "I'm from Brazil." It was all pretend, but it helped me practice. My words became smoother. My fear became smaller. One of the best times to talk to myself was while walking. I would walk down the street and describe what I saw. There is a dog. The sky is blue. I see a man riding a bike. The shop is closed. I spoke in my mind or softly to myself. It became a habit. I was speaking English without a book, without pressure. Just like a child who sees something and says, "Look, a car." My brain started to think in English. I didn't need to translate. I just spoke. There were moments when I was sad or tired. On those days, I still talked to myself. I said, "It's okay. I will try again tomorrow." I said, "I am learning. I am growing." I gave myself support in English. And something beautiful happened. English started to feel like a friend. Not a test. Not a scary subject. A friend. A voice I could use anytime. Even when I was alone. This method helped me become more fluent than any grammar book ever could. Because I was practicing every day. Not with big lessons, but with small moments. I was learning the way children learn, by talking out loud, by playing with words, by repeating what I saw and felt. I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to speak. And the more I spoke to myself, the more confident I became when speaking to others. Now I tell all my students, talk to yourself. Talk while cooking. Talk while cleaning. Talk while getting dressed. Say the names of objects. Say what you are doing. I am brushing my teeth. I am closing the window. I need water. These small sentences build strong skills. They teach you how to think in English. They teach your brain to use English naturally. It's okay if you feel silly at first. That means you are doing something new. Something brave. Something powerful. Children feel no shame. They speak. They make mistakes. They laugh. And they grow. You can do the same. You don't need a classroom. You don't need a partner. You only need your voice. And your voice is always with you. So, my friend, start today. Look around your room. Pick one object. Say something about it in English. Then pick another. Say what you are doing. Say what you want. Say how you feel. I am tired. I want tea. I am happy. These are the words of real life. These are the words that will make you fluent. Speak them every day. Talk to yourself like a child. And soon, you will speak to the world with confidence, with joy, with pride. Chapter 8. Learn with curiosity, not pressure. I used to feel pressure every time I sat with an English book. My heart would beat faster. My hands would sweat. I told myself, you must learn this. You must be perfect. You must not make a mistake. I opened the book, but my mind was not free. I was not excited. I was not curious. I was scared. I was tired. I was full of fear. I tried to memorize vocabulary lists. I tried to learn 10 new grammar rules in one night. But none of it stayed. I forgot the words. I mixed up the rules. I blamed myself. I said, maybe I'm not good at English. But deep down, I knew it wasn't the language. It was the pressure. And then I remembered something from my childhood. I remembered how I used to ask questions about everything. I asked, why is the sky blue? Where does the sun go at night? Why do cats purr? I didn't ask those questions to pass a test. I asked because I truly wanted to know. My mind was open. My heart was alive. I was not afraid of not knowing. In fact, not knowing made me excited. I loved discovering new things. That is the natural power of curiosity. That is how children learn. Not because they must, but because they want to. I thought about my little cousin again. She would ask questions all day. What is this? What does that mean? Why did she say that? She didn't stop to worry if her question was silly. She didn't feel ashamed. Her eyes were full of wonder. Her brain was hungry for answers. That curiosity pulled her forward. She learned fast because she didn't feel pressure. She felt play. She felt excitement. She felt the joy of learning. That's when I made a new decision. I said to myself, from now on, I will learn with curiosity, not pressure. I closed my heavy grammar books. I stopped counting how many words I had to learn each day. I stopped measuring myself with other people. I returned to the child version of me, the curious me, the one who asks why, the one who loves the small discoveries, the one who finds joy in the journey. I started asking new kinds of questions, not test questions, but real, curious ones. Like, why do English speakers say, I'm on the bus and not in the bus? Or, why is read spelled the same in present and past? These questions didn't make me panic. They made me curious. They made me want to explore. I watched videos. I asked teachers. I looked in simple books. And I enjoyed it. The answers stayed with me because I was interested, not forced. Every time I watched a new video or heard a new word, I didn't rush to memorize. I said, what does that mean? I repeated the word. I played with it. I used it in a silly sentence. I laughed. Elephant. The elephant is in my backpack. It was nonsense, but it helped me remember. I was learning like a child, with play, with questions, with laughter. I didn't feel tired. I felt alive. When you learn with pressure, you say things like, I must remember this word, or I will fail. But when you learn with curiosity, you say, this word is new. How interesting. When you learn with pressure, you think about the test. When you learn with curiosity, you think about the adventure. An adventure is a much better teacher than fear. I also began to explore topics I loved in English. I love animals. So I searched for easy English videos about animals. I listened to short stories about dogs, birds, and dolphins. I learned words like feathers, bark, whistle, hunt, and I didn't even try to memorize. The words stuck because I wanted to know them. I felt like a child at the zoo, wide-eyed, full of questions, and excited for answers. Sometimes I watched a cartoon scene again and again. Not because I had to, but because I liked it. I asked myself, why do they use that word? I repeated the sentence out loud. What are you doing? I'm just looking. Let's go. These lines were simple, but full of energy. I wasn't thinking about grammar. I was thinking about how the characters felt. I was learning with my heart, not just my head. I also started collecting words like treasures. If I heard a word I liked, I wrote it in a small notebook. Not 50 words, just 1 or 2 each day. I didn't write the definition. I wrote a funny sentence. Something personal. Something real. Like, today I feel sleepy. I love the word sleepy. And later I added a drawing. A picture of me yawning. That made the word mine. It made it emotional. And emotional words stay forever. My English started to grow again. Not because I worked harder, but because I enjoyed it more. When I made mistakes, I didn't say, "Oh no, I'm so bad." I said, "Interesting. I wonder why that happened." I turned my mistake into a question. I turned confusion into curiosity. And that made me fearless. I was no longer afraid of learning. I was excited by it. One day, I was speaking with a tourist at a park. We were talking about trees. I used a word I had learned from a story, leaves. I said, "Look at the yellow leaves. They are falling like rain." He smiled and said, "That's a beautiful sentence." And I smiled too. I didn't learn that sentence from a grammar book. I learned it because I was curious about the season, about autumn, about colors. And that curiosity became a sentence. That sentence became a memory. That memory became confidence. Now I know the truth. Learning is not a race. It is not a punishment. It is a journey. It is a garden. And curiosity is the water. If you pour water of curiosity on your learning, everything grows. Slowly, strongly, naturally. So, my dear friend, I want to tell you something important. You don't need pressure to learn. You don't need fear. You need wonder. You need joy. You need to fall in love with small words. Small sentences, small questions. Ask like a child. Think like a child. Smile like a child. Don't say, "I have to learn English." Say, "I want to explore English." Say, "This is fun." Say, "This is interesting." Say, "This is mine." The moment you change your feeling, your learning will change too. English will not feel like a heavy bag. It will feel like a balloon in your hand. Light, fun, full of adventure. So let go of the pressure. Pick up your curiosity and start learning like a child with a smile in your heart. Chapter 9. Make simple mistakes like a winner. I remember the first time I made a mistake while speaking English in public. I was at a shop. I wanted to ask for a bottle of water. I looked at the man behind the counter and said, "I want water bottle." He looked confused. I said it again, "Water bottle, please." He gave me a soda, not water. I felt my face turn red. I smiled politely, took the soda, and walked away. My heart was beating fast. I felt ashamed. I wanted to disappear. I said to myself, "Why can't I speak correctly? Why did I say it wrong?" That mistake stayed in my mind for many days. But now, when I think about it, I smile. Because that mistake was one of the most important steps in my journey. That mistake was my teacher. You see, children make mistakes all the time. They say, "I goed there," instead of "I went there." They say, "She eated my cookie," instead of "she ate it." But do they stop speaking? No. Do they cry and say, "I'm not smart enough"? No. They just laugh and try again. Their parents correct them gently. Their friends repeat the right sentence. And they learn, not from books, from life, from trying, from doing, from getting it wrong again and again. That's how winners learn, by making simple mistakes and moving forward. When I realized this, my whole attitude changed. I stopped being afraid of mistakes. I started making them on purpose. Yes, on purpose. I spoke more. I wrote more. I made videos of myself speaking. I didn't try to sound perfect. I tried to sound alive. And when I said something wrong, I didn't hide. I said, "Oops, that was a mistake." Then I laughed. Then I said it again, the right way. And just like that, the fear started to leave me. There is a kind of power in making mistakes. A secret power. Every time you make a mistake and don't quit, your confidence grows. Every time you say the wrong word and keep going, your brain becomes stronger. Every time you hear someone correct you kindly, you learn twice as fast. Mistakes are not the enemy. Silence is the enemy. Not trying is the enemy. But mistakes? Mistakes are your friends. They are like small lights on your path. They show you where to go next. I remember one day, I was speaking with a friend. I wanted to say, I'm bored. But I said, I'm boring. My friend laughed. I laughed too. Then he explained the difference. If you say, I'm boring, it means other people don't like to talk to you. I was shocked. We laughed even harder. But guess what? I never made that mistake again. I learned that one word. And I learned it deeply because of one simple mistake. If I had stayed quiet, I would never have learned it. Another time, I wrote a short message to my teacher. I wanted to say, I'm looking forward to the next class. But I wrote, I look forward the next class. She replied kindly. She corrected it. I thanked her. And now, I always remember. Look forward to needs too. Not because I studied grammar rules, but because I used the sentence in real life and got it slightly wrong. That's how real learning happens. When children fall while learning to walk, do we say, oh no, stop trying? No, we cheer, we clap, we say, try again. They stand up, fall again, and try again. And then one day they walk. Then they run. The same thing is true for English. You will say the wrong sentence. You will spell something wrong. You will forget a word. But each time you try again, you are closer to fluency, closer to freedom. I started calling my mistakes my little trophies. Every time I made one, I said, great, another step forward. I even wrote them down. I kept a mistake journal, not to feel bad, but to remember what I learned. I wrote things like, today I said, I can do it, but it should be I can do it. Then I made a sentence with the correct form. I can do it every day. That journal became my treasure. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be brave. You need to speak anyway. Write anyway. Try anyway. Make mistakes and smile. Make mistakes and learn. That's how children do it. That's how winners do it. When you stop fearing mistakes, English becomes fun. It becomes a game. A game where every error is a clue, a gift, a lesson. One day I asked my English teacher, how can I speak fluently? She smiled and said, make 100 mistakes. Then you'll speak well. At first, I didn't understand. But later, I realized, fluency is not about knowing everything. It's about practicing, failing, learning, and trying again. It's about speaking when you're not ready. It's about using the language, not waiting to be perfect. So now, I challenge myself, and I challenge you. Make simple mistakes every day. Speak without fear. Write without shame. Use new words, even if you're not sure. Start sentences, even if you forget how to finish them. Let your mouth be faster than your brain. Let your heart be louder than your fear. Because fluency is not born in perfection. It is born in the courage to speak again and again. And always remember, the people who laugh at your mistakes are not your real friends. But the people who help you, who correct you gently, who smile and support you, those are the ones who want to see you grow. Keep them close. Learn with them. Learn with love. You don't need to hide your mistakes. Wear them with pride. They are your proof that you are trying. They are your story. They are your strength. Even native speakers make mistakes. Everyone does. It's normal. It's human. So be kind to yourself. Speak. Fail. Learn. Repeat. Today, I can speak English with confidence. Not because I was always right, but because I was never afraid to be wrong. My mistakes were my teachers. My teachers became my memories. My memories became my language. And my language became my voice. And your voice is waiting too. Just open your mouth. Make a mistake. And win. Chapter 10. Use cartoons and stories, like a child does. When I was a child, I loved stories. Not just reading them, but listening to them, watching them, living inside them. I didn't care about the rules or the grammar. I only cared about what happened next. Was the princess safe? Did the dog find its home? Would the boy catch the train? My heart followed every word. My ears listened carefully. My eyes were wide with wonder. I didn't even realize I was learning language. But I was. Every new word, every sentence, every voice stayed in my memory like a song I didn't know I had learned. And this, my friend, is how children learn language, through cartoons and stories. Not through pressure, not through grammar books, but through love and curiosity. Years later, when I started learning English, I forgot that. I thought I needed to study hard, memorize long lists, and pass exams. I didn't feel the same joy I once had. Everything felt difficult, serious, and tiring. Then one evening, everything changed. I was at home, tired of studying, and I turned on a cartoon just to relax. It was Peppa Pig, a small pink cartoon pig, with a cheerful voice and simple English. I didn't expect much, but after 5 minutes, something amazing happened. I realized I was understanding almost everything. The language was simple. The pictures helped. The expressions were clear. And most importantly, I was enjoying it. I was smiling. I was learning. That night, I watched 3 more episodes. I wasn't studying. I wasn't writing anything down. But I was hearing useful sentences again and again. I'm jumping in muddy puddles. Can we go to the park? This is my little brother, George. These were not grammar rules. These were real-life sentences, spoken slowly, clearly, with emotion. And I could repeat them. I could copy them. I could use them. And they stayed in my head without any effort. I began watching more cartoons. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I watched Dora the Explorer, where she speaks English and Spanish. I watched Bluey, a gentle cartoon from Australia. I watched simple fairy tales on YouTube, where the storyteller uses kind, soft words and beautiful pictures. These cartoons were not for children only. They were for language learners like me. They gave me short, useful sentences that I could use in my daily life. And they repeated those sentences again and again, just like a teacher. But better, because they made me laugh. They made me feel. One of the first sentences I learned from cartoons was, "Let's go." The character said it every episode. And soon, I started using it. When I was ready to leave the house, I said, "Let's go." When I wanted to start studying, I said, "Let's go." It became part of my life. Not because I studied it, but because I heard it, loved it, and repeated it. That's the magic of stories and cartoons. They teach you by touching your heart, not just your brain. Then I remembered something else. When I was a child, I listened to bedtime stories. My parents read to me. I loved the sound of their voice. I didn't always understand the words, but I felt safe. I felt happy. I listened again and again. That's when I decided to add English stories to my life again, even as an adult. I found simple audio stories online. Some were fairy tales. Some were daily conversations. Some were short stories made for beginners. I listened before bed. I listened while walking. And slowly, the words became part of me. I found a story about a boy who lost his shoes. It was a funny story, told in very simple English. "Where are my shoes?" the boy asked. "Are they under the bed?" "No." "Are they in the bathroom?" "No." Every sentence was clear. The voice was slow. I listened to it 10 times. Then I started saying the lines myself. "Where are my shoes?" I said it while looking for my phone. I said it while looking for my keys. I smiled every time. That's when I knew. I was learning English through stories. Just like a child. I also watched short animated stories with subtitles. I read the words while listening. If I didn't understand something, I didn't panic. I kept watching. I trusted that I would understand more the next time. And I did. The second time was easier. The third time was even better. This repetition made my ears stronger, my mouth more confident, my heart more open to the language. I wasn't just studying. I was living the language. Sometimes, I acted out the stories. Yes, I became the characters. I stood in front of the mirror and said, "I am the king of the forest." Or, "I will find my treasure." I changed my voice. I moved my hands. I smiled. I played. I became a child again. And I started to speak English more naturally, with emotion, with rhythm, with power. I wasn't shy. I wasn't scared. Because when you play with language, it becomes your friend. Cartoons and stories also taught me something deeper: feelings. In textbooks, you learn words like angry, happy, or sad. But in cartoons, you see the faces. You hear the voices. You feel the feeling. When a character says, "I'm so excited," you understand not just the meaning, but the emotion. That helps you speak with feeling too. You don't just say the words. You feel them. And when you feel them, people listen. I always tell my friends, if you want to learn English like a child, use what children use. Watch cartoons. Listen to stories. Repeat the lines. Copy the voices. Smile. Laugh. Cry. Imagine. Don't just learn English. Live in English. Because language is not a subject. It's a world. And that world opens its arms to you when you walk in with wonder. Now, when I speak English, I feel like I'm telling a story. I don't worry about being perfect. I think of all the characters I've listened to, all the stories I've heard, all the lines I've repeated. They are my teachers, my helpers, my friends, and they will be yours too, if you let them. So my dear friend, if you are tired of heavy books, if you feel lost in grammar, close the book for a moment. Open a cartoon. Play a story. Let your heart listen. Let your mind rest. Let your voice play. That's how children learn. And that's how you will learn too. Not through fear, but through story. Chapter 11. One word. Many sentences, just like a child learns. When a child learns a new word, they don't use it just once. They use it again and again in many different ways. If a child learns the word ball, they don't say it one time and move on. They say, "This is my ball. I want the ball. The ball is red. Throw the ball. Catch the ball. I lost my ball." They play with the word like it's a toy. They use it in every situation they can. They test it. They stretch it. They live with it. And because they use one word in many sentences, they never forget it. It becomes a part of them. They don't just know the word. They own it. That's something I wish I had understood earlier in my English journey. For a long time, I tried to learn too many words too quickly. I made long lists, 10 new words every day. But after a few days, I forgot most of them. I didn't use them. I didn't touch them. They stayed on the paper, not in my mouth. I was collecting words, not using them. And because of that, I was always starting over, always forgetting, always feeling like I was behind. I had a full notebook, but an empty voice. Then I remembered how children learn. I remembered my little cousin when she learned the word cat. That word became her favorite. Every time she saw a cat, she shouted, "Cat!" She said, "The cat is sleeping. The cat is eating. I like the cat." She even pointed to a tiger in a book and said, "Big cat." She used that one word in so many ways, and I saw how strong it became in her memory. That was her superpower. One word, many sentences. So I decided to try the same thing. I picked one simple word. Book. I said, "This is a book." Then I added more. "I like this book. This book is mine. The book is on the table. I read this book every night. Give me that book, please." I made 10 sentences with just one word, and I repeated them out loud. I acted them. I used different voices. I pointed to a real book while speaking. It was fun. It felt like play, but it was also real learning. That one word became my best friend for a whole day. I used it while talking to myself, while writing in my journal, even while brushing my teeth. And because I used it in many different ways, I didn't forget it. I didn't need to study it again the next day. It was already inside me. That's when I discovered the power of deep learning, not wide learning, not more and more words, but fewer words used more deeply, more often, in real life. I started doing this every day. One word, many sentences. For example, I picked the word pen. I said, "This is my pen. The pen is black. I write with a pen. I lost my pen. Can I borrow your pen?" Then I acted it. I held my pen in my hand. I pointed at it. I touched it. I smiled at it. I became a child again, learning not from memory, but from action, from feeling, from using. Sometimes I did this while walking. I looked around and picked something I saw: a car, a tree, a cup, a bird. Then I made sentences with that word. The tree is tall. I like this tree. This tree has green leaves. I sit near the tree. Every word became a new friend. And the more sentences I made, the more confident I felt. I wasn't just learning vocabulary. I was learning to speak. I also started writing short paragraphs using my word of the day. For example, I picked the word apple. I wrote, "I have an apple. The apple is red. I eat the apple. It tastes good. My friend gives me an apple. We like apples." It was short. It was simple, but it was powerful. I was building my English one word at a time, one small step, one strong brick, one real sentence. This method helped me speak without thinking too much. When I wanted to say something, I didn't have to search for the word. It was already in my mouth. It was already trained, because I had used it many times, in many ways, in many feelings. That's what children do, and that's what makes them fluent so fast. One of my favorite words to play with was want. I made so many sentences. I want tea. I want to sleep. I want to learn English. Do you want to come with me? What do you want? That small word became my bridge to so many conversations. I didn't need fancy vocabulary. I just needed to use simple words in many different ways. When I started teaching others, I shared this method. I told them, don't learn 20 words in one day. Learn one word in 20 ways. Touch the word. Use it. Speak it. Play with it. That's how a child learns. And that's how you should learn too. Because fluency is not about knowing many words. It's about knowing how to use the words you have, again and again. Even now, I do this with new words. If I learn rain, I say, it is raining. I like rain. The rain is heavy. I hear the rain. Look at the rain. I connect the word to my life. I connect it to the sky, to the window, to my memories. And it stays. It becomes part of my story. So if you feel stuck in your English, stop chasing more. Start using what you already know. Take one word. Make many sentences. Use your room. Use your voice. Use your smile. Speak like a child. Learn like a child. And you will grow like one. You don't need a dictionary full of words. You need a mouth full of sentences. Sentences that are simple. Sentences that are real. Sentences that come from your daily life. From your kitchen. From your bedroom. From your walk to school. That's where English lives. That's where fluency grows. So today, pick one word. Any word. Say it in 5 sentences. Then say it in 5 more. Then write a short story with it. Act it. Feel it. Love it. Let it become part of your English soul. That is how you will grow. One word. Many sentences. Just like a child. Chapter 12. Daily routine words are gold. Every morning, you wake up. You open your eyes. You stretch your arms. Maybe you yawn. Maybe you look out the window. And your day begins. You brush your teeth. You drink water. You eat breakfast. You get dressed. You do these things every day, over and over. They are part of your life. They are simple. They are quiet. But they are gold, because they give you the most powerful words for speaking English naturally. Not big, difficult words, but small words. Real words. Words you use every morning, every afternoon, every night. And those words, the words of your daily routine, are the foundation of real fluency. Children don't start by learning big academic words. They don't begin with business English or long grammar lessons. They begin with life, with things they touch, see, hear, do, eat, sleep, play, brush, come, go, open, close, give, take. These are the words that live in their hands, in their mouths, in their little stories. They say things like, I want juice. I don't like this. It's hot. I'm sleepy. Let's go. These short, clear sentences come from real life. And they use them many times a day. That is why children learn fast. Not because they are smarter, but because they use daily words every day. I didn't understand this in the beginning. I thought I had to learn difficult vocabulary to sound smart. I studied words like responsibility, environment, technology, globalization. But when someone asked me, "Did you eat lunch?" I didn't know how to answer. I could explain climate change, but I couldn't say, "I'm hungry." That's when I realized I had skipped the gold. I had skipped the words that build the real voice. The daily voice. The human voice. So I started over. I picked one day, a normal day, and I wrote down everything I did. In English. From morning to night. I wake up. I make my bed. I go to the bathroom. I brush my teeth. I wash my face. I drink water. I check my phone. It felt strange at first. The sentences were so short. So simple. But they were real. They were mine. They belonged to me. I used them every day, and that made them strong. Every morning, I practiced these sentences. I walked around my room and said what I was doing. I am opening the window. I am folding the blanket. I am putting on my shirt. The more I did this, the more natural it felt. I didn't have to translate. I didn't have to think. The sentences came to me like breath, like music, like a quiet song that played in the background of my life. I did the same thing in the evening. I said, I am washing the dishes. I am watching a video. I am turning off the light. These were not dramatic words. They were not exciting. But they were true. They were useful. They were the words of life. And that made them golden. After a few weeks, I noticed something amazing. I could speak more fluently. Not because I knew thousands of words, but because I knew how to describe my life. I could talk about my morning, my evening, my lunch, my weekend, my habits. And that was enough to have a conversation. That was enough to feel confident. People started to notice. One day, a friend asked, "How is your English getting better so fast?" I said, "I speak about my day." He laughed, but it was true. I wasn't doing anything special. I was using my day as my classroom. My toothbrush became my teacher. My coffee cup became my speaking partner. My shoes became my lesson. Every little thing had a sentence, and I spoke it. I also made flashcards with pictures of my routine. One card had a picture of a toothbrush. Another had a cup. Another had a door. I shuffled the cards and made sentences. I use this in the morning. This is cold. I close this at night. It was like a game of life, a game of language. And every round of the game made me stronger. Then I started shadowing my routine. I listened to simple videos where people talked about their daily life. I copied them. I followed their rhythm. I get up at 7. I take a shower. I eat eggs. I go to school. These were not just sentences. They were keys. Keys that opened doors. And behind those doors was fluency. Children love to talk about their day. I saw a cat. I went to the park. I ate cake. And we listen. We smile. We say, "That's great." They feel proud. They feel heard. They feel fluent. You can feel that way too. Tell someone about your day, even if it's simple. Today, I woke up late. I made tea. I watched a cartoon. I walked in the rain. These sentences are not small. They are powerful because they come from you. I started making videos of myself. I looked at the camera and said, "Good morning. Today, I am going to the market. I will buy vegetables. Then I will cook dinner." It was short. It was honest. I posted it. And people responded. They said, "Thank you. This helps me learn." I smiled. I said, "It helps me too." Now, I teach others to do the same. Speak about your day. Don't wait for big topics. Use the gold in your life. The moments you live are full of words. Wake up, eat, walk, talk, sleep. These are not boring. These are real. And real words make real fluency. So my friend, start today. Look around you. Speak about what you see. Speak about what you are doing. Use the gold. Use the magic of your routine. Make simple sentences. Repeat them. Love them. Let them grow inside you. Let them become your voice. You don't need more words. You need to use the words you already live. Your life is your lesson. Your day is your dictionary. And your voice is ready. Chapter 13. Ask like a child, even if you don't know the answer. When a child doesn't know something, they do something beautiful. They ask, again and again. They ask questions without shame. What is that? Why is the sky blue? What does that mean? Why did she say that? They ask with wide eyes and curious hearts. They don't wait for permission. They don't worry if it's a silly question. They don't care if they already asked it yesterday. They are not afraid of not knowing. They are excited by not knowing. To them, every question is a doorway to more understanding, more speaking, more connection. And that is what makes children powerful learners. They ask even when they don't know. But many adult learners do the opposite. We feel embarrassed when we don't know. We stay quiet. We smile and nod, pretending we understand. Inside, we feel confused. But we don't ask. Why? Because we are scared. We are scared of looking foolish. We are scared people will judge us. We think, everyone knows this but me. We think, I should already understand. So we carry our questions like heavy stones in our hearts. And because we don't ask, we don't grow. I know this because I used to be like that. When I started learning English, I often heard words I didn't understand. In class, in videos, in conversations. I wanted to ask, but something inside me said, no, don't ask. They will laugh. So I stayed silent. I nodded. I pretended. But later, when I was alone, I felt lost. I tried to look it up, but the moment was gone. And slowly, I realized I was not learning as fast as I could. Not because I was lazy, but because I was scared to ask. Then one day, something happened. I was in a small English class, and the teacher used a word I didn't know, borrow. I didn't understand. I waited. Nobody else asked. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. So finally, I raised my hand and said softly, "Excuse me, what does borrow mean?" The teacher smiled. She picked up a pencil and said, "If I don't have a pencil, and I take yours for a short time, I borrow it. Later, I give it back." Suddenly, I understood. The light turned on. The meaning became clear. I smiled. And the best part? Another student turned to me and said, "I didn't know that word either. Thank you for asking." That moment changed me. I saw that my question was not stupid. It was brave. It was helpful. It helped not just me, but others too. After that, I started asking more. What does that mean? Can you say that again, please? Is this the correct way to say it? At first, I still felt nervous. But each time I asked, the fear became smaller, and the confidence became bigger. I also noticed something interesting. When I asked a question, people were kind. They didn't laugh. They explained. They used examples. They spoke slower. And because I asked, I understood better. I remembered better. I learned deeper. That's when I understood the secret. Asking is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It means you care. It means you are active. It means you want to grow. I began asking questions everywhere, not just in class. I asked in shops, at the market, on the bus. If I didn't know how to say something, I asked, "What is this called in English?" If I heard a new sentence, I asked, "Why do you say it like that?" Sometimes, people didn't explain well. That was okay. Sometimes, they gave long answers. That was okay too. The important part was this. I was not silent anymore. I was not afraid. Even when I was alone, I asked questions. I watched a video and paused it. Why did she use that word? I wrote the question in my notebook. Later, I searched for the answer. Or I asked a friend. Or I asked a teacher. Sometimes, I found the answer days later. But the question stayed in my mind, and it kept me thinking. It kept me hungry for learning. Children are not afraid of asking the same question more than once. They don't say, "Oh no, I already asked that." They ask again and again because they are not worried about what others think. They are focused on what they want to understand. And that's why they learn so fast. They don't carry shame. They carry curiosity. I started using one special sentence every day. "Can you help me understand this?" It was polite. It was clear. And it opened the door to so many lessons. When someone helped me, I said, "Thank you. Now I understand better." I could feel myself becoming more confident. My English was not only growing, my courage was growing too. Sometimes, people didn't know the answer. That was okay. Sometimes, they explained too fast. That was okay too. The important thing was, I was not scared anymore. I was not sitting in the corner of the classroom with silent questions in my mouth. I was speaking. I was learning like a child, brave, honest, curious. One day, I asked a very simple question to a native speaker. I said, "Why do people say I'm good instead of I'm well?" He smiled and said, "Both are okay, but I'm good is more common in casual speaking." I said, "Oh, okay. I always wondered about that." And he said, "Good question." That sentence made me feel proud. Not because I asked a smart question, but because I asked it all. Now, when I teach others, I tell them, ask like a child. Ask even if you feel shy. Ask even if you think the question is too small. Ask again if you forget the answer. Don't carry your questions alone. Share them. Speak them. Open them like a gift. Because every question you ask will make you stronger. Every answer you get will build your English, one small brick at a time. So, my friend, don't wait. If you don't understand something, ask. If you're not sure, ask. If you want to know more, ask. Even if your voice shakes. Even if your heart races. Ask like a child. Because children don't care about looking perfect. They care about learning. And so should you. Every big speaker once asked small questions. Every fluent person once said, "I don't know." So go ahead. Say it. "I don't understand." Say it with strength. Say it with honesty. Say it with the heart of a learner. And then listen. Then grow. Then ask again. That is how children become fluent. And that is how you will too. Chapter 14. Short Sentences, Big Power. When I first started learning English, I believed that long sentences were better. I thought that if I could speak long, beautiful, perfect English sentences, I would sound fluent. So I tried. I tried to make big sentences with fancy words. But every time I opened my mouth, something happened. I got stuck. I forgot the grammar. I forgot the word order. I stopped in the middle. I panicked. My mind went blank. And my confidence disappeared. I didn't feel smart. I didn't feel fluent. I felt afraid. But then something beautiful happened. I started watching children speak. Little children, who had just learned to talk, were using English so naturally. They were not using big words or long sentences. They were saying things like, "I want this. Give me that. No, not this one. Come here. I'm happy. I don't like it." Simple words. Small phrases. Short sentences. But they were speaking fast. With feeling. With expression. With confidence. And people understood them. That's when it hit me. Short sentences are not weak. They are strong. Very strong. They are the building blocks of real fluency. You don't need to say everything in one long sentence. You can say it in many short sentences. And that's what children do. They speak fast because they speak small. One idea at a time. One feeling. One action. One sentence. So I started doing the same. I stopped trying to sound perfect. I stopped trying to impress. I just tried to speak clearly. I used the words I already knew. I made small sentences. I said things like, "I am tired. I like this movie. I don't understand. Can you help me? What is this? That is nice. It is raining." At first, I thought it was too simple. But then something amazing happened. People understood me. I didn't pause. I didn't freeze. I didn't feel scared. I felt free. I realized that short sentences give you something very important: flow. When your sentences are short, your brain moves faster. Your mouth moves faster. You don't get stuck in the middle. You don't lose the rhythm. You can finish what you're saying. And that feeling, the feeling of completing your thought, is a powerful confidence booster. It tells your brain, "Yes, I can speak. I can do this." Every day I practiced this. I looked at things around me and made short sentences. The sky is blue. I see a bird. That boy is running. I'm drinking tea. These were not difficult. They were part of my real life. And that's why they worked. Because when I speak from my life, my heart helps my brain. And when my heart and brain work together, I speak better. One day, I had a conversation with a native speaker. I didn't try to show off. I just used short, natural sentences. And guess what? We talked for 15 minutes. He smiled and said, "You speak very well." I was shocked. I didn't use big grammar. I didn't use hard vocabulary. But I used real English. Simple English. Confident English. And that was enough. Many learners try to speak like a textbook. They try to use long structures. But when real people speak, they use short ones. Let's go. Come in. I'll call you. It's okay. Not yet. Maybe later. That's funny. Are you ready? These are the phrases that make a language feel alive. These are the phrases that move a conversation forward. Think about it. If someone says to you, "I think I might probably not be available this weekend because of a family situation," you might get confused. But if they say, "I can't come this weekend," you understand in 1 second. That's the power of short sentences. They are clear. They are quick. They are real. Children don't speak in paragraphs. They speak in pieces. But those pieces connect. One sentence, then another, then another. And soon, they are telling stories. Not big stories at first, but small, simple ones. Today I went to the park. I played with my friend. We saw a dog. It was funny. I ate ice cream. That's fluency. That's how it begins. So I gave myself permission to speak like a child. I gave myself the freedom to use small sentences. And every time I did, I felt proud. I was communicating. I was expressing myself. I was being understood. And that, my friend, is the real goal. Not sounding perfect, but being heard. Being real. Being confident. Now, I teach my students to do the same. I say, don't wait for big grammar. Don't wait for big vocabulary. Start with what you have. Use it. Speak it. Repeat it. One sentence at a time. And I see the magic. I see their eyes shine. I hear their voices grow. I feel their confidence rising. Because they are no longer trying to be perfect. They are just trying to be clear. And that is more than enough. So today, I want to tell you, your English is enough. Your simple sentences are enough. Don't wait for more words. Don't wait for more rules. Use what you already know. Use it in short, strong sentences. Practice every day. Talk to yourself. Talk to the mirror. Talk to your dog. Talk to your coffee. Just speak. Speak short. Speak real. And here's a secret. Even native speakers use short sentences most of the time. I'm tired. Let's go. I'll do it. Don't worry. It's fine. I like that. These are the words of daily life. These are the sounds of real conversation. So make this your new habit. When you learn a new word, make 5 short sentences with it. Say them out loud. Repeat them. Change the subject. Make it playful. Make it yours. That's how you grow. That's how you become fluent. One short sentence at a time. You don't need to sound like a professor. You just need to speak like a person. A real person. A person with a voice, a heart, and a message. And your message is waiting. Chapter 15, Shadowing, your new baby talk trick. Have you ever watched a baby learn how to speak? They don't sit down with a grammar book. They don't memorize vocabulary lists. They don't ask questions about tenses or sentence structure. They listen. They watch. They hear the sounds again and again. And then one day, they copy. They try to say what they hear. Not perfectly. Not completely. Just sounds. Just pieces. Just rhythm. That's how it starts. That's how baby talk becomes real talk. And that, my friend, is the secret of a powerful technique called shadowing, your new trick to speak English like a child. When I first heard about shadowing, I didn't understand it. I thought, is this just repeating what someone says? But no, it's more than that. Shadowing is listening to a native speaker and immediately speaking after them. Not later, not after thinking, not after writing. You listen and you follow like a shadow, like an echo. You don't pause. You don't analyze. You don't translate. You just speak with your ears, with your mouth, with your heart. It's like singing along with a song, but the song is a conversation, and the singer is your invisible teacher. At first, I was shy. I felt strange copying someone word for word. I was scared I would sound silly. But then I remembered how babies do it. They're not scared. They're not shy. They don't care how they sound. They just copy. They just try. And that's why they improve so fast. So I said to myself, forget being perfect. Be like a baby. Be brave. Copy with joy. And I started. I picked a simple English video. Something with a slow speaker, clear voice, and easy words. I played one sentence. Hi, how are you? I repeated it. Not later. Not after thinking. Immediately. I shadowed it. Hi, how are you? Then the next sentence. I'm doing well. Thank you. I said it right after the speaker. I'm doing well. Thank you. And suddenly, something happened. I didn't feel like I was studying. I felt like I was speaking. For real. Shadowing trains your mouth. It teaches your tongue how to move. It teaches your brain how to follow. It teaches your voice how to sound natural. Because you're not just saying words, you're saying them like a native speaker, with the same emotion, the same speed, the same tone. And that is how real fluency begins. Not from reading silently, but from speaking out loud, again and again, with feeling. Every day, I did 5 minutes of shadowing. Just 5 minutes. I picked one short video. I listened. I followed. I didn't stop to ask, what does this mean? I didn't worry if I understood every word. My goal was to match the voice, to copy the rhythm, to become the shadow. And guess what? After 1 week, my mouth felt faster. After 2 weeks, my pronunciation was better. After 3 weeks, my confidence grew. I wasn't just learning English. I was becoming English. Sometimes I shadowed standing up. Sometimes walking. Sometimes sitting on my bed. I didn't care where I was. I just needed my voice. I just needed my ears. I even shadowed while brushing my teeth, with one hand holding my phone and the other holding my brush. I looked funny, but I felt powerful. Because every word I shadowed was a step forward. And I didn't stop with just videos. I started shadowing podcasts, audiobooks, even short stories. I picked stories for children because they had clear language. I listened to the narrator and followed. I became the character. I felt their emotions. I copied their energy. I wasn't reading a story anymore. I was living it. I was speaking it. I was being it. Some days were harder. Sometimes I couldn't catch every word. Sometimes I made mistakes. Sometimes I felt tired. But I kept going. I told myself, even babies fall. Even babies cry. But they never stop trying. So I kept shadowing. Day by day. Sentence by sentence. Voice by voice. One day, I recorded myself. I shadowed a simple conversation, then played my voice back. And I smiled. I sounded better. Not perfect, but better. More natural. More smooth. More real. That recording gave me the proof I needed. Shadowing was working. Then something beautiful happened. In a real conversation, someone said, "How's it going?" Without thinking, I answered, "Pretty good. Thanks." You. It came out natural, quickly, like a reflex, like baby talk, but in a grown-up body. I wasn't thinking about grammar. I was just responding. Because I had shadowed that sentence so many times, it had become mine. Now, I tell every English learner I meet, shadowing is magic. It's simple. It's free. It's powerful. You don't need a teacher. You don't need a school. You just need a voice to follow and the courage to copy. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Just copy. Like a baby. Like a shadow. Let your mouth get used to the music of English. Start with 1 minute. Then 2. Then 5. Use subtitles if you need to. Pause if you need to. But keep going. Speak with the speaker. Follow the flow. Feel the sound. That's how children do it. And that's how you will too. Your voice is waiting. Your fluency is waiting. And shadowing is your key. So go ahead. Pick a short video right now. Press play. And say what they say. Match their voice. Match their feeling. Don't be shy. Be a shadow. Be a baby. Be brave. Because every baby who speaks starts by copying. And every learner who becomes fluent starts by shadowing. Chapter 16. Talk with objects, just like children do. Children are full of magic. Not because they know a lot, but because they see everything as a friend. A shoe is not just a shoe. It can be a car. A box becomes a house. A spoon becomes a microphone. A pencil becomes a sword. And they talk to everything. They say, "Hello, Mr. Teddy." They whisper to the moon. They shout at their toy car, "Go fast." They sing to the mirror. They speak with emotion, with energy, with life. They talk to the world around them, not to show off, but because they are learning. And that, my friend, is something every English learner can do too. When I was afraid to speak English, I waited. I waited for people. I waited for the right moment. I waited for the perfect conversation. But the truth is, those moments didn't come often. So my practice was small. My speaking was weak. And my confidence stayed low. Then one day, I remembered something. As a child, I used to talk to my toys. I used to imagine they were alive. I gave them names. I asked them questions. I told them stories. And I thought, what if I do that again, in English? So I tried it. I picked up my cup and said, "Good morning, cup. You look tired. Are you ready for tea?" It was silly, but it was fun. And I was speaking, really speaking. I picked up my pen and said, "Let's write something today, my friend." I looked in the mirror and said, "Hello, you. Looking good today." These were not big, difficult sentences, but they were real. They were alive. And they were mine. I started doing it more. I walked around the room and spoke to everything. "You're a strong chair," I told my chair. "Thank you for holding me." I smiled at my fan and said, "Please don't make so much noise today." I looked at the window and said, "Wow, you show me a new world every morning." I was not just practicing English. I was building a relationship with the language. A personal one. A playful one. A powerful one. Talking with objects gives you something very special. Freedom. There's no fear. No judgment. No pressure. The cup doesn't laugh. The pen doesn't correct you. The mirror doesn't tell you you're wrong. They just listen. They become your friends. And when you have friends, you speak more. You try more. You grow more. Children don't worry about being perfect. They don't say, "Is this grammar right?" They say, "Hi, car. Let's go to the moon." And they believe it. They feel it. They live it. That's why they learn so fast. Because they use their imagination. They use their emotions. And their brain listens. It says, "This is important. Let's remember it." That's how language grows inside them. So I made it a daily habit. Every morning, I picked 3 objects and spoke to them. Just 2 or 3 sentences. "Good morning, pillow. You were soft last night." "Hey, toothbrush. Let's clean up." "Hello, phone. Don't distract me today." It became a game, a ritual, a joy, and every sentence made my English stronger. Sometimes I recorded myself. I made a video and said, "This is my notebook. I write my dreams in here. Today I will write something new." Then I played it back and listened. I smiled. Because I didn't sound afraid. I sounded like me. The real me. Speaking simple English. With heart. One time, I made a video just for fun. I picked 5 things on my table. A cup, a book, a spoon, a pen, and a candle. I gave each one a name. I said, "This is Charlie the cup. He drinks too much tea. This is Bella the book. She loves to sleep all day." I made funny stories. I laughed. But I also practiced. I used verbs. I used adjectives. I used real English. And I didn't even feel like I was studying. I felt like I was playing. That's the secret, isn't it? Children play with language. They explore it. They test it. They make mistakes. But they don't care. They try again, and again, and again. And because they try so often, they grow so fast. You can do the same. You don't need a classroom. You don't need a partner. You just need your voice. And your surroundings. Look around you right now. Pick something. Anything. Maybe your phone. Maybe your bag. Maybe your shoes. Say something. Out loud. "Hello, bag. Where are we going today?" Don't think too much. Just feel it. Say it. Let your English come out. It doesn't have to be correct. It just has to be alive. Over time, these little conversations become habits. Your brain starts to think in English. Your mouth starts to move without fear. You begin to feel the language, not just study it. That's when the magic begins. That's when your speaking becomes natural. Sometimes I still do this. I sit alone, and I say, "All right, notebook. Let's write something that helps people." Or I tell my shoes, "You're tired today, aren't you?" It sounds silly, I know, but it's beautiful. Because I'm using English with love, with feeling, with fun. And when language becomes fun, learning becomes easy. Now, I share this trick with my students. I tell them, talk to your water bottle, talk to your lamp, talk to your bed. And at first, they laugh. But then they try it. And soon, they laugh again, this time with joy. Because it works. Because they start to speak more. And the fear goes away. So my dear friend, don't wait for a perfect conversation. Don't wait for a partner. Your house is full of speaking friends. Your world is your classroom. Talk to your clothes. Talk to your computer. Talk to your food. Talk to your world. Speak like a child. Speak with joy. Speak with freedom. Because every object is a mirror. It shows you how you feel. And when you speak to it, it speaks back. Through your voice, through your practice, through your growth. The more you talk, the more you learn. The more you imagine, the more you improve. And the more you speak like a child, the faster you become fluent. Chapter 17. Start now. Even if you feel silly. There is one big moment in every English learner's life. A moment that feels small, but changes everything. It is the moment you open your mouth and speak. Not perfectly, not with confidence. Just speak. Maybe you're alone. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe your heart is beating fast. But you speak. You say a word. A sentence. You start, and even if it feels silly, even if your voice is soft or broken, something powerful begins. That first step becomes the path. That first sound becomes the beginning of fluency. That, my friend, is where everything changes. When you start, even if you feel silly. Many learners wait for the perfect moment. They wait for more vocabulary, more grammar, a better accent, a native speaker, a teacher, a class, a good day. But that perfect moment never comes. There is always something missing. So they keep waiting, and waiting, and time passes. Dreams grow cold, confidence fades, and English stays locked inside. But you don't need perfect. You need courage. You don't need everything. You just need to begin. Right now. Right here. In this moment. When children learn to speak, they don't wait to be ready. They cry. They make sounds. They laugh. They try. They say ba and mama. They say things that make no sense. But they are learning. They are moving. They are not waiting for grammar rules. They are not worried about mistakes. They are not scared of sounding silly. And because they don't wait, they grow fast. Because they don't stop, they succeed. I remember the first time I tried to speak English out loud. I was sitting in my room, listening to an English podcast. I paused the audio and whispered, "Hello. My name is..." My voice shook. I felt strange. I looked around like someone might hear me. But I kept going. I am learning English. Then I said, "Today is a good day." That was it. Just 3 small sentences. But my heart felt big. I was doing it. I was not just studying English. I was living it. And yes, I felt silly. I felt like a child playing with a new toy. I laughed at myself. I made mistakes. But I kept going. Because deep inside, I knew, if I wait for perfection, I will wait forever. If I wait for confidence, I may never speak. So I gave myself permission to speak badly, to speak slowly, to speak with fear, but to speak anyway. Every great speaker was once a scared beginner. Every fluent voice was once a silent one. Every confident sentence started with an awkward one. That's the truth. You don't become confident before you speak. You become confident because you speak. Speaking builds the bridge. Even if the bridge shakes. Even if the words are small. Even if your voice is soft. Start now. Start with what you have. Start with one word. One line. One idea. Say it out loud. I am here. I want to learn. English is hard, but I will try. Say it to yourself. Say it to the mirror. Say it to your pen, your book, your bed. It doesn't matter. What matters is, your voice is waking up. Your language is coming to life. Some people will tell you, don't speak until you're ready. But I will tell you something else. Speak to become ready. Speak now. Today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Because waiting is the enemy of fluency. Silence is the enemy of growth. Fear is the enemy of your dream. But when you open your mouth, you fight back. You take your power. You say, I'm not perfect, but I'm learning. And that is beautiful. I know you might feel silly. I know your voice might feel strange. I know your sentences might sound broken. That's okay. That's normal. That's how it begins. When a child says, I go to school, we don't laugh. We smile. Because we know they are learning. They are trying. And soon, they will say, I went to school. Why? Because they started. Because they didn't stop. Because they dared to speak. You are the same. Your journey is the same. You will say the wrong thing. You will forget words. You will mix up sentences. But don't stop. Speak through the mistake. Speak through the fear. Speak through the silence. The more you speak, the stronger you become. The more you speak, the more English becomes your friend. I remember one student of mine. She was always quiet in class. She understood everything but never spoke. One day, I asked her why. She said, "I feel silly. My English is not good." I told her, "It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be alive." That day, she said one sentence. Just one. "I like coffee." The whole class clapped. She laughed. And from that day, she never stopped. She spoke more. She made mistakes. She smiled. And she became fluent. Not because she was ready, but because she started. Fluency is not a magic gift. It's not something only smart people have. It's something brave people build. And you are brave. You are ready. Not perfect, but ready. Ready to sound silly. Ready to sound slow. Ready to feel strange. Because that is the doorway to real speaking. Real connection. Real success. So today, say something in English. Right now. Anything. Say it loud. Say it with feeling. Say it even if it sounds funny. Say, "I can do this." Say, "I will not wait." Say, "I am learning English, and I am proud." Because your voice matters. Your dream matters. And your beginning matters. Speak like a child. Laugh like a child. Learn like a child. Don't care how it looks. Care how it feels. Speak with your heart. With your smile. With your energy. The world is waiting for your voice. Your English is waiting for you. So start now. Even if you feel silly. Especially if you feel silly. Because that's how every beautiful English journey begins. Chapter 18. Your inner child is your teacher. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? You see a grown-up. You see someone with responsibilities, worries, and dreams. Maybe you see tired eyes. Maybe you see someone who has failed many times. Maybe you see someone who is still trying. But let me tell you something powerful. Inside you, there is still a child. A small, curious, beautiful child. That child is not gone. That child still lives in you. And that child, not a teacher, not a book, is your greatest guide for learning English. Your inner child is your teacher. When you were a child, you didn't learn your first language by studying. You learned by feeling, by watching, by listening. You made funny sounds. You copied your parents. You made mistakes every day, but you kept going. You didn't care about being right. You just wanted to speak. You wanted to connect. You wanted to play. And slowly, with time, your small words became big thoughts. Your soft voice became full sentences. And one day, you were speaking fluently, not because of fear, but because of love. That child is still there inside you. But life has made you forget. School made you worry about tests. Teachers made you worry about rules. Society made you fear mistakes. You started to feel that English is serious. That learning is heavy. That fluency is only for smart people. But that's not true. The truth is simple. You were born to learn. You were born to speak. You were born to grow. You just need to return to your child mind. The part of you that is playful. That is not afraid. That still believes. I remember when I first let my inner child speak again. I was walking in the park and suddenly started talking to a butterfly. I said, "Hello, little one. Are you in a hurry today?" I laughed. I felt silly. But I also felt free. For the first time, I wasn't judging my English. I was enjoying it. I was playing. And at that moment, I realized my child mind was still strong, still alive, still ready to teach me how to speak like a human, not like a robot. Children don't learn with pressure. They learn with play. They sing songs. They tell stories. They ask a million questions. Why is the sky blue? Where do birds go? Can I eat this? They are not afraid of not knowing. They are excited to know. That's why they learn fast. That's why they improve every day. Because they don't carry shame. They carry wonder. When you talk to yourself in English, don't be afraid to sound childish. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Your inner child is not stupid. It is smart in a very deep way. It knows how to connect words with feelings. It knows how to learn from life. It knows that making mistakes is how you grow. And it knows how to laugh at yourself, at the world, at the strange sounds of English. Sometimes I sit with my students and ask them to pretend they are 5 years old. We speak like children. We say, I like ice cream. I want to fly. My cat is my best friend. And we laugh together. We let go of the fear. We let go of the pressure. And guess what? In those simple sentences, their real English comes alive. Not the English of books, the English of the heart. That's the power of your inner child. It brings English into your world. Not just into your memory, but into your soul. It helps you feel the words. It helps you play with the sounds. It helps you speak with joy. And when you speak with joy, people listen. People feel you. People connect with you. Your inner child also has something else, great courage. Children fall, and they get up. They cry, and they smile again. They fail, but they keep trying. That's why a child can go from no words to full fluency in just a few years. Not because they are smarter, but because they don't stop. They don't give up. They don't care what others think. They just keep moving forward. That's the kind of learner you need to become again. You might be thinking, but I'm not a child anymore. That's true. You're not. You have grown. You have a past. You have fears. You have pain. But inside you, there's still that same spirit. The spirit that once held a toy and said, "Birum froom." The spirit that once pointed at the sky and shouted, "Look." That spirit still lives in your heart, and it can help you speak English better than any grammar book in the world. So from today, trust that child. When you want to speak English but feel nervous, ask your inner child, "Can we play for a moment?" And just begin. Sing a song. Repeat a line. Say something silly. It's okay. That's how it begins. That's how it grows. Make a daily promise to yourself. Today, I will speak like a child. I will not worry about big grammar. I will not try to be perfect. I will just enjoy. Say things like, "I love this. This is fun. I'm learning every day." Say them out loud. Say them often. Make your English feel like your friend. Your inner child is your best teacher. Because that child never gave up. That child believed in you. That child tried again and again and succeeded. And you can do it again now. You just have to remember how. So smile. Brave. Play. Talk to your shoes. Sing to your cat. Read a story in a funny voice. Practice 5 minutes a day with joy, not stress. You are not starting from zero. You are returning to the smartest part of yourself. The child who learns everything by heart. Fluency does not belong to adults only. It belongs to the brave, to the dreamers, to those who try, and that includes you. Let the child inside you speak, and watch your English come alive. My friend, you've come so far. You've learned to speak with joy, like a child, without fear, without pressure. Now, it's your turn to live this every day. Don't wait. Don't doubt. Just speak. Even one small sentence a day will change everything. If this video helped you, leave a comment and tell me. I will speak like a child. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. so you never miss your next step to fluency. You're not too late. You're just getting started. Let your English grow like a child with love.